All right, so we're here with maybe one of the most surprising cars for all of us. I'm talking about me, I'm not talking about Megan, I'm talking about all of us all of us who like cars, and I would say all of us who don't like cars. That is the new Toyota Prius. And why is it one of the most surprising cars? Because the Toyota Prius used to be, well, let's say this. The very first generation was kind of like an experiment. The second generation was sort of the one that we all remember.
Are you going to pop up pictures of the cars as you're talking about this?
Well, now I kind of have to because you just said that.
I think that would be cool because then they can see just how dorky.
I'll pop up cars, pictures of the cars while I'm talking.
They need to see the evolution of the Prius.
So the second generation was the one that sort of went widespread in like Hollywood and stuff. Everybody was driving a Prius. Leonardo DiCaprio
just
probably.
Because it was a hybrid? Or?
Yeah, because it was like the first really mass market, really well-built like mainstream hybrid. Then the third generation was sort of the inoffensive one. In fact, you mentioned that generation when you talk about Peggy's car, which she had a Prius V later in the video. So that was sort of an inoffensive evolution of the second gen. But then the fourth gen came out and it was hideous. Like it was one of the ugliest cars probably in, well, I was going to say Toyota's recent design history, but I mean like, you know, like the automobile industry's design history. The Prius, I think it was the Prius Prime version plug-in hybrid, was like wretched looking. It looked just atrociously stupid. And if you had told me, rewind back then, that the generation following that would look like this, I would have been like, you've been doing drugs or something, because there is no way that Toyota would make a Prius that looks like this that would follow that one. But spoiler alert, they did. And this is the all-wheel drive Prius Limited, and you can get it in Prius Prime. Guess what? The Prime looks just as good, if not better. So they took what was one of the worst designs in modern kind of like car history and turned it into one of the best designs in modern car history. And that's why it's the 2024 Motor Trend Car of the Year. And that is why I love the way this thing looks. You love the way this thing looks. I now work at a European German performance shop doing their media and doing their channels, and everyone there loved the way that this thing looks. I cannot stress this enough for any of you watching this video. If you make a hybrid vehicle that used to be hideous and a whole bunch of car dudes at a German performance shop are like, that thing looks amazing, you've doing something right.
So we are here with the Toyota Prius Limited, which is why it looks fancy, I guess, right?
Well, actually all the Priuses look like this.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the exterior of this thing, first of all, when I found out you were like, yeah, we're getting a Prius, and I was like, boring, Priuses are dorky. And then I pulled up in the driveway and this was there and I was like, what? That's a Prius? Like they have done when did they do this? Like when did it start looking like this?
This generation. This is
like just this year or?
Yeah, so basically it was new for 2023 or 4 and it was the 24 Motor Trend Car of the Year.
Oh, okay. Because one of our friends has an old Prius and like it's a dorky, sorry Peggy, I should probably not watch it, but it's kind of like a dorky, like the older ones are kind of dorky looking, and this is like very nice. I love it in this red. Like I would get it probably just like this.
This is actually a great color.
Yeah, I think the red is great. It's not like too bright. It's like a perfect red. I think the front end's pretty cool. The tires look great.
The wheels.
Yeah. I love the shape of it. It's just like a cute little sporty, like it looks very sporty.
Yeah.
Even though it's not sporty.
Even though it's a Prius.
It's not sporty. Like I feel like you would love to drive this.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about getting you a hybrid. I feel like you would love this because like it actually looks pretty cool.
There's a little bit of a catch that we'll talk about later.
Oh, okay. It is like a hatchback, right?
It is.
Which I don't love a hatchback, but we'll go with it. It's not bad. I think it's kind of cool.
Well, you have to have a hatchback to have this kind of body shape.
Oh, which
like
I think
you couldn't have a trunk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the body shape is really cool. Do you want me to open it?
Well, yeah, that's what you do.
I do eventually open it.
Yes.
Now there is not much space in here.
No.
I mean, this is pretty tiny. This is his big old backpack. But like.
But it's good for.
It's not a lot of space. Can you take this thing off?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I guess it's good for a car, for a small car, but you could fit a couple of suitcases back here, and that's about it. I won't climb it.
20 cubic feet because this is all-wheel drive.
How's that compared to things?
It's not bad, actually.
Not bad?
Yeah. I think it's 22 or 3 in the front-wheel drive.
Okay.
So that's pretty good.
And why is it different?
Because all-wheel drive, because there's like all-wheel drive hardware down there under the floor.
Oh, see, I don't know those things. So not too bad in the exterior space. Exterior space?
Well,
It's not what you call it.
interior cargo space.
Interior cargo
There's
space.
people that randomly drive by, even though they clearly see us filming.
They don't
Welcome
care.
to
They
the
don't know what we're
public
doing.
park.
They don't know what we're doing. But like, I just love the shape of this car, and I do think I think the black top is cool.
Yeah.
Do they all look like that?
I'm not sure.
Or-
I think they do in the higher trims, but what's nice about this is like how it runs down into the back end and stuff.
Yeah, like it looks really cool. I
Yeah.
just think the exterior is very good. Like I honestly I don't know that I would change anything.
Yeah, it's not just good for a Prius, it's like
It's like
good,
good.
for anything.
Yeah. And you said your friends at work were like,
Yeah, I
dude,
work
why
at-
does that Prius actually look
I
good?
know. I work at a European German performance shop now.
So they're seeing Porsches and
yeah,
things all day.
Porsches are like one of our most common customers.
Yeah.
And
And
they
then they
were
were
like,
like, dude, why does
"Oh,
your
the
Prius,
Prius
actually
looks
look cool?
great.
Yeah. Like it's like looks better than it really has any right to.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, and these are like true car guys.
Yeah.
Like, who would ever think that?
yeah.
And
But
that was, and all of them, not a single person had a negative thing to say.
no, because what would you say negatively about it?
I know.
Like it looks so cool.
Well, like they
I
like
love it.
the recessed door handles in the rear. Did you see that?
Oh.
How it's like,
Oh, up here.
yeah. So the side is.
Oh, I hadn't even
smooth.
because I haven't gotten in the back yet, so I
Yeah.
didn't notice that. That is cool.
So just
And I
little
like the
touches.
black here,
Yeah, this red and black
like the
looks
black
great.
rim or whatever this is.
Yeah.
On the thing.
It's like
yeah,
the same
the
red,
red
they
and
have
black
on the
looks really cool.
Toyota Crown.
Oh yeah, like I would definitely get it in this color. I mean, maybe there's some other cool colors, but like for people who think Priuses are dorky, y'all should check this one out because she ain't dorky.
No, she
No,
ain't dorky.
She ain't dorky. Oh, why would you park there? That's the worst spot in the whole lot. Nuh-uh. Oh, nope, that's too tight. Don't do that. What about, no. Why would you, no, not there. Not there. Why would you do that?
Working with your spouse is not always easy.
Especially when it's with this guy.
So you can imagine that it's important to keep lines of communication open. Sometimes that means talking to somebody.
Like a licensed therapist.
We've done this in the past to ensure that we're being the best version of ourselves for each other. And that's how we've been able to stay married for 20 years.
21.
That's how we've been able to stay married for 21 years.
And it's not just for us. We've been high school teachers for over 20 years, and we have 2 teenage daughters, so we take mental health very seriously.
We see the positive benefit in young people when they have someone that they feel that they can trust and that they can talk to. And that need, it doesn't just go away when you get older. If anything, it's just as important. That's where BetterHelp comes in, the sponsor of today's video. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen. Go to betterhelp.com/Jax, that's Jax, to get connected to a professional with years of experience.
For introverts like me, it's perfect because you can do it all from your phone or computer via video chat, phone call, or messaging.
And you'll usually be matched with a therapist within the first 48 hours, so you can get started as soon as possible. So let BetterHelp connect you with a licensed therapist who can support you all from the comfort of your own home.
Visit betterhelp.com/Jax, Jax, to receive a discount off your first month.
That's betterhelp.com/Jax and start prioritizing your mental health today. So, where do you want to go eat dinner?
I don't care.
How about Mexican?
No.
Italian?
No.
American?
No.
Pizza?
No, definitely not.
All right, so we can't have a Toyota Prius without talking about the hybrid system. And Toyota, being, kind of conservative Toyota, has conservatively evolved the hybrid system. But here's the interesting thing about this Prius. Now you can get the Prius front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. And in all-wheel drive, which is what this one is, this is a fully loaded all-wheel drive limited model. You have 196 horsepower because I think the rear motor adds like a little bit more power, giving, the rear axle like, the all-wheel drive capability. So you have 196 horsepower, which means that for the first time in its entire life, the Prius is not particularly slow. In fact, I believe this Prius goes from 0 to 60 in about 7.5 seconds, which is like pretty good by, normal small car standards. And the Prius Prime is even faster than that. So the Prius actually has some gusto, has a little motivation, has some power and some pickup, which it never had before. The other thing that I would point out about this powertrain, because it is tried and true and because Toyota sort of evolves these things over time to be as efficient as possible, is that the efficiency numbers on this thing are wild, okay? It's 196 horsepower. The front wheel drive has like 194 because it doesn't have that rear motor. But your miles per gallon, when this thing was dropped off at our house, it had 49, I think, and change on the average. I reset the average. We have been driving it totally normally. I have a terrible commute now, so tons of stop and go traffic, which is what this thing is perfect for. You do not have a terrible commute.
No,
You
I
have a
have a
short
short
commute
commute.
of kind of moderate suburban driving, which is sort of okay in a hybrid. And this thing, what are we, 52 and a half?
52.5, yeah.
52.5 miles per gallon currently. That's wild, okay? And the fact that it's just so easy. This is where Toyota hybrids are rock stars, is because you don't have to do anything. If you drove this thing ultra conservative, I think it's rated as a maximum of like 53 miles per gallon. You
Oh,
can
so we're almost to the
easily
top.
achieve that. Yeah, that's what's so great about it, is you can easily achieve that in stop and go and suburban driving. Now on the highway, it becomes less efficient because it's not using the electric motor as much, and you're still in like 49, 50 miles per gallon. So the penalty in these modern hybrids is actually less on the highway than it used to be, and you get as good or better, around town city driving. So for what this thing can do and how good it is to drive, which we're going to get to next, and having more power and more pickup, like before you had to go, well, it's slow as crap, but it's a hybrid, so it's okay. Now it's not slow as crap, it drives really well, and you get all the good gas mileage. So, well, that's like a win-win-win.
So drive-wise, because he'll get mad if I talk about something other than driving.
Well, because we cover the whole
The driving
car.
portion. I think this drives pretty good. The brakes are a little grabby, but I think that's that regen.
Really? You think they're right? I
A
don't think
little
they're
bit.
bad.
Yeah, no, a little bit. I'm like getting used to them, but there are certain times where I brake and it's like,
Do you mean
'Cause
grabby all the
it's-
time, or like when you're coming to a stop?
not all the time. Like every once in a while, I feel like it's grabby. I don't know when.
Okay.
So maybe when I'm coming to a stop,
Yeah, I mean like at the start when you start braking, or at the end when you're stopping?
maybe kind of the end.
Okay.
Just trying to help people out.
Yeah, but it's not terrible. It's just not my favorite. But I feel like a lot of hybrids, because aren't
Yeah.
they trying to get that energy in the brake or
Yeah,
whatever?
yeah, this has regenerative braking.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like it's just what you deal with when you have regen braking or whatever. So that is, but doesn't bother me. You know what really bothers me?
Uh-oh.
And this is not driving, so I don't know if you want to call this interior or driving.
Okay, well,
but
let's
I'm going
hear
to
it.
say it anyway. Is the
course.
steering wheel goes directly in front of the
Well, that's because it's
Dash.
the same as something we recently had.
that did the same thing?
Yeah, the Subaru Solterra.
Like I can't. I
Which
have to go
is-
like this to
Do you
read the
remember
dash.
that the Solterra is actually a Toyota BZ?
I don't know what any of that
Well,
means.
basically it means it's Toyota's dash, and this is the same one.
Yeah, but I can't see. I
Yeah.
literally can't see it. I can barely see how fast it's literally covering the entire thing for me.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting in a place that's comfortable for
I
me.
don't think anybody really likes this dash.
And which I just think is, I mean, and it's a tiny little screen. It's not very big, and the wheel is not big. I mean, but it's just like exactly right in front, which drives me insane.
Well, remember the Solterra had a squircle?
Oh, that's the one with the squircle.
Yeah.
I do remember the squircle. Now the steering wheel itself, like the material or whatever, feels nice. It's got that nice, like this is what I like a steering wheel to feel like. It's got that nice smooth fabric or whatever. I don't know what it's called.
Leather?
Is it leather?
Well,
Like real leather?
Leather, pleather, I don't know.
I don't like the plastic little thingy here. I feel like it kind of looks cheap.
Well, really, because on a small steering wheel, you're not going to be grabbing at the bottom.
I am. I always do.
Oh, gosh.
I just don't like it. I think it looks cheap, and when you touch it, it feels cheap. I don't like it. But the backup camera and all that stuff is really good, I think.
Well, you love
like
the
when you
surround.
park, and I felt like it was a good camera. The seat is not super comfortable. It's pretty hard. I prefer a cushier ride, but
I was having a little trouble with the shape, but I'll talk about that later.
yeah. So it's not. Well,
I
nothing
know.
is-
I'm
just-
weirdly
yeah.
shaped.
So it's not uncomfortable. It's just not like I don't know that I would want to go on a long car trip. But like, I feel like for like a commuter, like I feel like you would drive this car
Oh,
because
I
you have quite a
absolutely would.
commute. Like I feel like this would be a perfect car for you.
Yeah.
Someone who doesn't have to take a whole bunch of people with them and commutes because you want to get a good gas mileage. I mean, the gas mileage is, I mean, we've been driving this car for not quite a week. What, 5 days or something now?
Yeah, 5 days.
And we're almost at 3/4 of a tank.
Well, look at the miles per gallon.
Like, where is it? I see. Do you see how I have
Yeah,
to? Because I
yeah.
can't see it. 52.5 miles
Yeah,
per gallon. I mean, that's
52.5.
crazy. Like, you can't beat that. And I love a hybrid. I do not like electric. I mean, in theory, I like
Wow, let's just cut this whole
in
segment.
theory, I like an electric vehicle, but I just feel like there's too many drawbacks, and it would make me too nervous to not have my car.
You like the way electric
charged
vehicles
and-
drive.
I just don't like that. I do like the way they drive.
You just don't want to live.
I don't want to have one because I feel like it has too many drawbacks.
I think that's actually a very fair point. Most people probably would feel that way.
Yeah. I just don't want to be stuck with, and I can't go where I need to go, or I'm waiting on a charger and I can't find one. Like, I don't want to, and someone has to come get me.
It is a problem.
I just don't want to do that. Or it blows up.
Okay, that's a bit much.
In the hurricane. No,
okay.
There were.
Well, yes, there were
electric cars blowing up. Yeah. I just feel like there are problems. So a hybrid is like, I feel like the perfect answer, which is, he is definitely in the market for getting a hybrid now that he has to commute.
Which we are talking about in this video.
This would be a car that I would definitely, like, I feel like it's perfect for that.
Yeah.
It's not a family car. It's too small for that. I mean, you could fit a family for it if you had to. A young
but we're
family,
getting into interior territory.
Sorry.
So quickly, before the light fades, because it's a little bit later in the day than we want it to be. So an enthusiast perspective on the drive of the Toyota Prius from behind the wheel. Let's kind of go through the positives first, and then I'll talk about a few of the negatives. Number one positive for me as kind of an automotive enthusiast is that the ride quality in this it's just spot on. It's perfect. Like, Toyota absolutely nailed it. It is 100% perfect. The ride is comfy, but it stays controlled. It doesn't pitch and roll too much. There's not really any head toss. Like, they did a phenomenal job of making this a comfy, everyday driving vehicle, and giving it just enough body control that I wouldn't say that it's sporty, but I would say it's a lot more satisfying to drive than you might be expecting. Now, one of those things that's very satisfying in kind of a weird way is this tiny little steering wheel, and we'll talk about, the gauge cluster in a second. I'm not going to beat it to death because neither of us like it, but the tiny little steering wheel, when you turn it, there's no slop off center. Like, you turn it a little to the left, it immediately goes to the left, and because the wheel is very small, it almost kind of like magnifies the sensation, and that does give it this little bit of sporty character, which I kind of love it. I just think it makes it a little bit more fun. Like, it just makes it have that little bit of character to the drive that a car like this, you wouldn't expect it to have a little bit of personality, right? And it totally does, and I really like that. Now, another thing that I like, and this is where there's a little bit of a hit and miss, is Toyota has this sort of like pre-braking system now where it uses the cameras and sensors. So there's like a car up ahead of us, and as we're approaching that car, if I take my foot off the brake now, that car is a ways ahead, but if it slows down, the car will start braking. Like, it'll start like sensing
so maybe that's
that
what I'm feeling.
this is what I was talking about earlier. It's sensing that we're approaching a vehicle, and it's beginning to apply the brakes, so that like you don't have to worry about it as much. Okay, now in theory that sounds great. When I was on the Toyota Tacoma test drive last year for the brand new Tacoma, they talked about it a little bit, and that system debuted that sort of driver assistance next level. Okay, if we're braking, it actually works pretty great. I didn't mind it at all. What happens though is, if you need to add a little bit more gas, like if the car ahead of you starts to go again, or traffic picks up or something like that, that handoff between the pre-braking and the accelerator pedal is not as smooth as it could be. And so it's definitely not a deal breaker. I didn't mind it, but I did immediately think that you would be like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
It feels a little bit unnatural when you know that it's doing it to kind of like be a safety system that's got your back.
I also didn't know that was a thing, so
yeah, like when you know that it's doing something good to kind of protect you,
Maybe
you're like, oh,
bad.
whatever, it's fine, I'll live with it. But it is like a little odd when you're trying to tap on the accelerator again. So just putting that out there, it's something that'll probably get refined over time. Definitely not a deal breaker or a problem. So that's all this like good stuff. Like, there's really great aspects to driving this vehicle. Oh, and one more that I'll just throw in there is that I have this in eco mode right now to kind of dull the throttle response so we can see how high our gas mileage can get, and it's not terrible driving in eco mode, and we're at 52.5 miles per gallon, which is insane. Before I had it in regular mode, it's even more responsive to drive, and I was at like 51 miles per gallon. So honestly, I'd probably just leave it in normal mode. I just wanted to see like, what the difference was. But in normal mode, it just absolutely feels like a regular car. It's even a little bit more responsive. So I think that's a nice thing as well. Now, a couple of the negatives. For me, the seat is kind of a negative. I'll talk about it more in a second in the interior portion. See, that's how you do that, like balance of like interior driving. I'll talk about it more in the interior portion, but I just have a really hard time getting fully comfortable in the seat. I've got a messed up back. I'm extremely tall, so it's probably a me problem more than anybody.
I don't think it's a very comfortable.
Yeah, but
I found it to be too hard.
Yeah, you've been complaining about Toyota seats seem to be a little firmer than they used to be, and I would agree with that. I think I've seen a couple other channels talk about this. Now, if you are interested in Toyota, don't let that be a deal breaker to you, because remember when we took the Sequoia on vacation and we both said the seats were firm, but then we got to the driving destination and we felt refreshed and we had been fully supported or whatever. So maybe they know better than us.
I think it's that they're not, I don't think they're just uncomfortable. I just feel like I can't get comfortable.
Yeah.
I can get where it's like, okay, just not where I'm like, ooh, these are great.
Right. There's something about it that doesn't quite get to that level. So that's a bit of an issue, and I have a long commute, so was a little bit of an annoying thing for me earlier this week. And then there's the gauge cluster, which whether you're tall like me or you're shorter, well, you're not short. I mean, shorter than me.
I'm
You're 5'9". I mean, shorter than 6'6", but like, nobody can see this gauge cluster properly.
Maybe if you were like 4'10" and could see it under the
under the wheel, I'll just drive like this.
I can't see where I'm going, but I'll just drive like this. Or I'll be like 6'7" or 6'8", and I can see everything.
It's one of the two ways. You otherwise.
It's just a really silly design miss in a car that is.
And there's not a way around it.
No, and to me, some of these things keep the Prius from being an absolute home run. Or I would even say this. I would say the Prius would have been a grand slam if it had like some of these, little misses like cleaned up. I think it is a home run.
Well, the exterior is a home run.
Yeah, the exterior is a home run. The drive is a home run. This is coming from an enthusiast. It's coming from a guy who like loves to drive. I work in a German auto shop now. Like I'm surrounded by Porsche GT3 RSs, and everybody in that shop thought this thing looked cool. They like the style. They like the interior. Not like like it's like some kind of luxury thing, but they just thought it was like a huge leap forward. So in some ways, the Prius is a home run. I just think a few of those misses are just bummers, because this thing could have been a grand slam. But I've enjoyed driving it. I really have. And I don't think I would ever have said that about any of its predecessors.
Yeah, I was not happy when you said we were getting a Prius. I was like, boring. I've been proven wrong.
Yawn. Yes, you're proven wrong.
For sure.
I never hear you say those words, but Toyota Prius, you heard her say.
Well, I'm never wrong when it comes to you.
She was wrong.
You're the wrong one.
Wow.
So I'm in the interior. Now, first of all, this car is very low. Like, I just kind of like fell in here. I don't love that, and I feel like it's...
No, it's for aerodynamics.
It's for aerodynamics. It is very low. So if you're a person who doesn't like getting in and out of a low riding car, this is probably not for you. It is very low. Now, I think the inside is just very like minimalist looking.
Kind of.
Like, there's nothing really, like, I'm used to like what's the car I love? The
Santa Fe?
No, the hybrid, or maybe it's an electric vehicle.
The Ioniq?
The Ioniq. Like, where I feel like electric vehicles are like hybrids, like usually like have some like cool stuff.
Oh, right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the Ioniq 5.
Yeah, and I just feel like there's not much cool stuff. Like
the
door.
Toyota likes to play it conservative.
Yeah, like it is that's a perfect word for it. It's very conservative. Like the door handle, all the things that are over there, very conservative.
Traditional
like there's nothing.
Toyota.
Yeah, like super traditional.
Traditional Toyota.
The wheel is traditional. It has this stupid gear shift that I hate.
It's like your number one hated gear shift.
I hate it. Why do I push forward to reverse and put? I just think it's stupid.
Yeah.
And it's very tiny. Like, it looks dorky. Like, what? Like, I just can't stand it.
Lexus.
And it has this charge port here, which didn't charge with my phone.
Port.
Like this thing.
Oh, you mean
it's
the
like
phone charger?
Yeah, a charge port. What would you call it? But you like push your
wireless
phone.
Charger?
You push your phone down in it,
Yeah.
but it didn't charge with my phone case on.
No,
So I had to take my case off, which a lot of them do charge with a case on.
Yeah.
I had to take my case off. And when it's down in here, you cannot see it. Like, I was trying to run maps the other day when I was taking Hallie to volleyball, and you can't see your maps when your phone, like, I don't understand why we're doing charge things where I can't still see my phone.
Well, it's like a not best of both worlds. Like, if you don't want your phone to fly around on the charge pad, you have that, but then you can't see
most
your phone.
charge pad, but I feel like, just give me like a charge pad that's like here.
They're assuming that
somewhere
you're going to be running CarPlay.
But I wasn't, because the CarPlay kept going in and out.
Oh.
And we were listening to Spotify, and it kept freezing and like going in and out, and it was glitching, and we had to like start it back over again.
Oh.
So
Well, that's no bueno.
I know. But we were running Spotify on Hallie's phone and I was on my maps.
Oh, so you were throwing it
But,
for a loop. Okay.
Yeah. So
okay.
it just,
All right, consumers, not necessarily Toyota's fault. Might have been ours.
yeah. The cup holders are fine. They fit the stand, so that's good.
Yeah, which is impressive because they're way up there.
This thing, I literally do not like it. It's
yeah, you said
so
that in
small.
the drive portion.
Yeah, it's so small and I can't see it. I literally can't see it. This is directly in front.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe I can lower the steering wheel but I'm sitting like I have this pretty straight up.
Yeah.
So that I pretty much so that I can see the dash and I still can't see the dash. So that's like a huge miss thing for me. I don't like that at all. Heated and cooled seats up here. I do like the little keyboard, piano.
Keyboard.
Key.
Oh, the piano key style.
Yeah. Tiny little guy here, but there are chargers here. There's charging stuff there. I don't know what this is. Is this a charging plate?
Where?
This thing back here?
Oh no, I think that's storage.
It's just a storage
There's a little
thing.
hidden compartment underneath.
Oh yeah, I see that. Well,
Yeah.
for all your valuables.
Not for us.
Don't
We
keep
have
valuables in your car.
Yeah.
The seats are okay to me. They feel very minimalist, like very not
Yeah, they're
cushy.
okay.
Yeah, they're just okay. So like the outside to me is way cooler, and then the inside, like I wanted the inside. I thought it was going to look as cool as the
Oh.
outside. I don't feel like it matches
Well,
like
there's
the
a
vibe.
reason I think they're keeping the price down.
Oh well, and I get that. That
Yeah.
makes sense too. But
'Cause
they
this
did have a
fully
little
loaded
carbon
one
fiber.
It's like
Oh, and
37.
some lights. And some lights, little dash lights.
And the lights blink when the car in front of you pulls away. Did you notice that?
Okay, I noticed that they were blinking. I was literally about to say I think they were malfunctioning because
Yeah.
they were blinking. I didn't know that's what they were doing.
Here we are in the back row, and then again,
someone's
yeah,
No,
someone just
don't film
driving
people.
by.
I didn't know that's why they were blinking.
Yeah,
I thought they were malfunctioning. I was literally just about to say.
no, it's when the person in front of you pulls away.
Oh, like as a visual cue.
I mean, unless it was a complete coincidence, but I'm pretty sure that's what they do.
Interesting. So there's that. It is comfortable. There's a bug in my face. It is
Yeah.
pretty comfortable and spacious. It's not overly comfortable.
Well, on that note, should
You know.
you try the back and see if
I'm
you sit
scared.
behind yourself?
I'm scared. Okay, so this is kind of tiny, and I feel like the last time I had a bun, we were in a Toyota.
That was
Because
the crown, actually.
my bun is hitting the ceiling. Now I am 5'9", so I am tall, but it's a little like I kind of have to,
In this defense, this is a much smaller car than the crown.
Yes. Now I don't have a ton of, but this is actually more comfortable than I thought it was going to
Do you
be.
remember at the Toyota event, the car they said you'd be happy in because of your bun?
No.
The Signia, Crown Signia,
Oh, yeah.
the wagon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would more head space.
Which is an awesome car, by the way.
This seat is I actually think this is more comfortable back here than the driver's seat.
Oh, okay. Hot take.
Have you sat? You haven't sat back here?
Do I look like I could sit back there?
No, but it's actually pretty
All
cush.
6'5" of me.
You'll have to cush it. You'll have to.
Oh, well, we'll
Push
see
it.
if I can fit because everybody gets a good laugh out of that.
But there is like a little sideways thingy thing here.
Sideways? What are you talking
Like a
about?
cup holder, but not really because it's like
Oh,
a sideways guy.
No.
Do I have cup holders in the
You
middle?
should, yeah.
In the middle, but again, I think car people should be doing more cup holders here.
That pull out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because this to me is
You have
only
vents
useful.
there?
What? No, there's no vents there.
Yeah, single zone.
I mean, the
climate
car's pretty
control. It's a
small.
small car.
Yeah, there is heated seats back here and
Yeah,
little chargers, so that's pretty nice.
Limited.
But like if you need 3 people, no one has a cup holder.
Yeah, well,
But you could fit 3 people back here,
yes.
in theory.
Okay.
But they can't bring drinks.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Or
guys.
anyone bigger than you.
No.
All right, so in the interior, there's some good and some bad. So this is a limited model. So we've got the glass sunroof, we've got memory seats, heated and cooled front, heated rear, heated steering wheel, all of the options. You also get the bigger 12.5-inch display running Toyota's infotainment system. I'm a pretty big fan of Toyota's infotainment system. It's just very easy and user-friendly and functional. You did mention, though, that you were having some disconnection problems with the CarPlay, and I did too, and that's not like Toyota system. So I'm going to chalk that up to an anomaly, but it did drop my phone once or twice. So I'm not really sure if it needs an over-the-air update, but I'm not going to kind of ding it on that because it's never really happened before on a Toyota vehicle. So that might just be a, freak accident. Gauge cluster. Okay, let's talk about a few of the downsides. All right. For me.
Can you see it?
No, and no, it cuts off the bottom for me. So I can see the top, but it cuts off the bottom. For you, it's like worse, even. It also has the JBL audio system, which is pretty nice in a small car. But the gauge cluster, it's awful. Like, whoever came up with this, far ahead kind of thing. It's not super useful. We didn't like it in
boring.
the, yeah.
Like, I think it's boring anyway, and then you can't even see it.
I know, weirdly, I think it was like the old Prius or the old Yaris used to have a centralized gauge cluster, and it was kind of goofy looking, but in a way that would almost be more functional. But you can't do that in modern cars because the infotainment systems are so big. So it'd be kind of difficult to see. Yeah, I just don't like it. The other problem with it is that it's kind of all jammed together because it's relatively small. So a lot of like, modern cars will do a fancy digital display, and you'll have a 12.5-inch infotainment screen and then a big 12.5-inch like gauge cluster with, graphics or something. Toyota even has some in their cars, like in the Camry. I think the new Camry has that. But here it's like way smaller and everything's kind of jumbled together. So it's just not my favorite. I think that's something that'll be redesigned, relatively soon in like a refresh of the life cycle. The other thing for me personally, and as you can see, I'm very tall. If you're new to the channel, I'm almost 6'6", so I'm, about 6'5.5". I can fit fine space-wise. I just don't find the seat super comfy. I've got scoliosis and a messed up back, and it's just kind of hitting me weird. I turned the lumbar way up like I like, and it made the problem a little bit better, but I just am having a hard time getting really truly comfortable in the seat. And I think to feel that way, again, I've got a messed up back, so this isn't all of you guys, but I'd have to like recline the seat a little bit more, which would render the rear seat, which you're about to see me try to get into, even more useless if that's possible. So it's kind of a win-lose there. I might win and finally get the seat right, but the rear seat is going to be like, not hospitable for people.
Well, no one's going to ride behind you anyway.
Yeah, so that's a bit of a bummer. But everything else in the interior, the materials are okay. They are trying to keep the price down, and this thing is maxed out at about $37,000. So I think the materials are appropriate for that price point. But you kind of said you felt it was a little boring. Yeah. I definitely don't disagree.
The outside just looks so cool.
Yeah, it's oh great. That's the last thing we need is yeah, get out of here, yellow jacket. It's probably attracted to the color. So yeah, I do think that the I know he's like trying to mess up the video. You can have your moment later, yellow jacket. Jeez. Watch, we're at 5 minutes of us shooing yellow jackets away from the car. So yeah, I think it's fine for the price point, but I do wish that it had a little bit more occasion. I think that's kind of what you said, is you wished it had a little bit more like occasion. Stick with the filming. Take one for the team. Take one for the team. Oh no. Oh no. This is disrupting the whole video. We should probably get in the back.
Sorry. All right, here he is trying to get in. His big old feet don't even fit.
Did you start it?
Yeah, I did. Okay. Because they had to see you trying to squeeze it.
Oh, yeah.
Look at his feet.
Yeah. Yeah, so the main problem here, as you can probably imagine by the shape of the car, is the headroom. So that kind of swoopy rear styling.
While looking so cool.
Yeah, it looks very cool on the outside, but it definitely eats into the headroom for someone who is as tall as I am. Also, knee room is not great, but my feet, the seat is like pretty low. And part of that is for me to try to get comfortable in it. So it's sort of like if I try to get comfortable, now I have big feet, like size 14 shoes. But if you had like medium-sized feet and you were trying to sit behind me as I was trying to get the seat comfy, it wouldn't be great.
Well, I found the foot room a little small too.
Yeah, so you can see it's a little compromised back here. Now, the Prius is not a big car. We're not saying that to be like, oh, shocking, it's not, big back here. But you definitely want to keep in mind that because it's not a very big car, if you're tall and you put the seat where you want, it's going to put this into kind of kid-only mode. I would say, what would you say, about 5'4", 5'3" would be max. So just something to keep in mind if you have a family.
I could ride back there, but it wouldn't be very
You would be happy about it.
No.
So wrapping up the Toyota Prius from sort of the enthusiast perspective, I love this car. I love it. I think that I love the way it looks. We cannot say this enough. You've gushed over it. I've gushed over it. This is a fabulous looking car. In fact, I would even wager that as much as I think this thing looks fantastic from the front and from the side profile, I kind of like the way the back looks with the sort of light bar and how the black roof and stuff kind of goes over into the back styling. I love the way the Prius looks. I think this is one of Toyota's best looking designs of any car. The fact that it used to be hideous, forget all that. I just think this is a really good looking car, full stop, period. Okay, full stop and period are the same thing, but whatever, you get it. I'm so passionate about it, I'm redundant on the full stop. All right, now I remember what I was gonna say. The driving is also pretty darn good, okay? You talked about living with it day to day. I talked about kind of driving it as a hybrid, and also from the enthusiast perspective, like kind of the ride handling balance. For what this thing is, the ride is extremely comfy. It's very well controlled, and the hybrid like sort of nature of the car doesn't infringe on the driving experience, if that makes sense. So it's like you're getting the best of all worlds and you're not really paying much of a penalty. Also, Toyota's sort of pre-braking and like sort of sensor systems work really well, with the only exception being that like when it slows down and then you have to accelerate again, sometimes it can be a little hesitant and jerky. But honestly, it's kind of a nice thing to have turned on in stop and go traffic because it controls so much of that hybrid braking for you. So there's just nothing bad to say about that. With, wow, geez, the soccer game is getting intense. There's nothing bad to say about that stuff. The only negatives really are the interior gauge cluster, and then the seats not being the most comfy seats in the world. The driving thing with the brakes, that's a minor thing to me. I think the gauge cluster and the seats are something that if you are a giant like me and weirdly shaped with a messed up back, you probably want to take it for a spin and see if you like it. Or if you are, short and you can't see the gauge cluster, it's not a deal breaker.
I'm not short and I can't see the gauge cluster.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker. I would just say it's kind of an irritating design miss, And at the end of the day, for what this thing is, getting it in the high 20s to low 30s at the starting point, this one fully loaded at 37, I think the value equation is not terrible. Now, let me talk about one more thing before we get to your wrap up. The Corolla Hybrid. The Corolla Hybrid has pretty much the exact same powertrain and gets almost identical gas mileage and is thousands cheaper.
But looks dorky.
But it looks dorky. But personally, because I need a commuter car, I'm actually looking at a Corolla Hybrid right now. If you watched last week's video, we were looking at the Solterra and I was looking at the BZ4X because EV values have plummeted so much. But the Corolla Hybrid, I can get even cheaper, it'll hold its value, and you can keep it forever and not really have to worry about anything with batteries and stuff like that. And a used Corolla Hybrid, gently used, you can get for like 20, and that undercuts this by a lot. So as much as I love this thing, if I didn't need a commuter car and I wanted to save some money, I definitely would have this in mind because the style just wins me over. But the financial side of me goes, yeah, but that Corolla Hybrid is a lot cheaper.
Okay, so now we're here for my Megan minute wrap up. Megan, I don't know. The exterior, I love. 10 out of 10.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like
10 out of 10, Toyota.
Well, and I think a lot of it is that like I expected this Prius to be dorky and it exceeded my expectations. Like, so whoever designed this, are there like design teams?
Oh yeah, they have big design teams.
Like, is there like a leader?
Talk to them directly.
Yeah, leader of the Prius design team. You are a superstar. Like,
Wow.
get him a raise. Give this.
Okay.
It was probably a woman.
Toyota.
Give her a raise.
Oh wow. Okay. Gender affirmative.
But whoever they were, seriously, the exterior looks awesome. Like it looks so good. The interior, I'm gonna go like a 6 out of 10. It's just very average to me.
Yeah.
And you said maybe that's to keep price low, which if
Yeah.
that's the case, then I would rather trade like an okay interior for a price I could,
Yeah,
pay.
you'd rather have the value.
Yeah. So I'm not like knocking it. That's not where this car shines to me, is the interior. The driver's seats are a little just too hard for me.
Right.
Not super comfortable.
Just a few
I
negatives.
cannot see the dash, which that to me
Okay,
is like
that's a
the
big
thing I
negative.
hate the most. I don't understand that at all.
What if the exterior designer and the dash designer are the same person?
There's no way. There's no way. They're very different
So
people.
fire that guy.
Yeah. I think the dash designer was like sick on final like rollout.
So a woman designed the exterior, knocked it out of the park.
Uh-huh.
But some dumb man designed
Yeah, like you.
it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Toyota
Toyota, comment down
So
below.
interior, I'm gonna go like a 6 out of 10. Again, and I'm not saying that because I don't like it. I'm just saying it because it's very average.
Yeah.
Just conservative, average. There's nothing that sticks out to me.
Okay.
About the interior. Drive wise, I'll probably give it like an 8.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
brakes are a little grabby to me on sometimes, but I feel like if I drove it more, I would get more used to that.
Yeah.
And the regen and all the stuff. Like
And the ride's pretty good.
the ride's pretty good. It's
Yeah.
pretty smooth. It's got pretty good pickup.
I actually bragged about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any complaints about that. So 10 on the exterior, 6 on the interior, 8 on the drive.
And then value.
Value. Well, I don't know how much it costs.
This one all in
I'm
is
nervous.
about 37.
That's a little much.
Okay. Now it does start like high 20s and get into low 30s, but this
Okay.
one is like
What would you
max.
miss though? Like a ton of stuff?
Just a few of the options here and there.
Like if I could get this high 20s, low 30s, sold.
Well, that would be for like kind of a base.
Yeah. I mean, I think that would be a great deal. Getting in the upper, because it's not super fancy to me.
But the problem is, what about the Corolla hybrid?
I don't know what that one looks like.
Well, the Corolla
he
hybrid
asked me about
is
these cars as if I
basically the same car for cheaper and uglier.
Well, but uglier.
I know. But that's what I'm saying.
Maybe you want a cool looking car.
I'm
Like
saying
this
you're
car
paying
looks
a
good.
price premium because this
Because
is
it
such
looks
a good
cool and
looking
it's
car.
been designed
Yeah.
well and and it's a Toyota. It's gonna last you
Yeah,
forever.
well, Toyota hybrid. Nobody does hybrids.
the
better than Toyota.
Oh, well, that's good to know. The gas mileage is insane.
Insane.
I mean, the fact that I've been driving this for almost a week and only used a quarter tank of gas, like,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So overall, quality or
Where are we
not
now?
quality,
What are we talking
not
about?
the price value. Thank
yes,
you.
money.
I'll go with 7 out of 10.
Okay.
I'll go with 7 out of 10.
For
I
this
mean,
particular.
yes, it's a little expensive to me, but it does look cool. You do get the awesome gas mileage. You get a Toyota,
But if it
the
was like
safety and all that stuff.
32,
Yeah, to me, like the low 30s
Yeah.
seems like kind of the sweet spot
Okay.
for where I can really see this car shining. I would definitely get it. I would definitely encourage you to get it because you need a hybrid traveling car.
you want me to spend $37,000 on
No, that's not what I just said. What did I say? I
Yeah.
said low 30s is the sweet
What,
spot.
you want me to guess the Corolla hybrid?
I want you to get something that's like $5,000.
Yeah, okay,
So
well,
that
that's-
I can get something fancy.
Yeah. Well,
That's what
stay
I'm really
tuned
looking for, yeah.
Next time we have a Land
Yeah.
Cruiser.
So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. We don't even know if that's a thing anymore, but we appreciate you watching.
Sure. Maybe it is.
Maybe.
We're bringing it back.